Okay, everybody, we are on our second build video for our Estes Viking rockets. And let's take a look at what we're going to do today. We're going to prepare the fins. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on this part of the instructions. Now we're going to do it a little bit different. We're not going to round the edges off on our fins. But other than that, we're going to be doing something very similar to what's shown here. All right, so let's do it our own way a little bit. Probably going to be a little bit different. But, all right, so what you need for this part is you're going to need your fin sheet. You can take that out of the bag of parts that you got with your rocket. And you're also going to need a piece of sandpaper. All right. If you haven't got your sandpaper, come by and get it for me. All right, so here we go. The first thing that they say to do in the instructions is to sand both sides while it's still in the fin sheet. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So what we want to do is try to keep your, they say to use a sanding block. I don't know if that's 100% necessary. Look, we're not trying to kill the paper. This could destroy the paper if you press hard enough. That's not what we're doing. We're going to sand both sides, try to keep it as flat as possible, and give it a sanding on both sides. So I'm not pushing down too hard at all. You can see. Just putting a little pressure. It's going to smooth those out. It's also going to remove some of the wax from the paper so our paint will stick better to it. And you can see I just have a little tint to my sandpaper after I'm done sanding it. Try to keep it flat. If you have a block, you can wrap the sandpaper around a block. That works too. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the other side now. I've flipped it over, and I'm going to do the same thing. Again, I don't want to put uneven pressure, so I'm trying to keep my hand as flat as possible. It's not too big of a deal with these type of fins. We just need to kind of rough them up a bit. And there we have it. And I'm not pressing down too much. You can see some of the stuff that's been sanded off comes off as this very light dust type of thing. Okay, the next thing we need to do, let's take a look at our instructions, is we need to remove them. Now in the instructions, they show you using a razor knife or a hobby knife to do that. I didn't include those with the kits because of safety reasons. So what we're going to do is we're just going to break them out of this card using some scissors. That more common tool that probably everybody has. If you have a hobby knife, that's up to you to use it, but the safety would be on your end. You'd have to make sure that you're careful with that because it's not something I provided. So you see what I did is I just kind of cut in so I can get it started. I just kind of cut in there, but I got to be careful I don't cut the fin. Okay? Don't cut the fin. And I'm just going to gently, see, I'm just kind of moving them just a little bit. We don't want to do it because if we tear them out, what will happen is that these little papers, they'll run and they'll start tearing into your fin. So I'm just going to slowly separate those. Just go easy. Just take your time. Just back and forth, lots of little back and forth motions. And we can get them out of there without ripping them. What we don't want is to rip these little pieces of flash that are on there that haven't been trimmed yet. So we're just going to gently separate those. And we're done. And you can save this later. You might need a stick to smooth something out. But we're pretty much done with that frame of it. Now we have our 5 fins. Now these 5 fins need to go flat against the rocket when we glue them on. So basically, essentially what's going to happen with these fins is this is how they go on, right? They're going to attach like this. And in our project, actually, you can attach them any way that you want to. You could put any side up against the rocket. This rocket is made to be stable in any orientation. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of ways you can put your fins on. We're only going to be doing the 5-fin design because that's the thing that we have our fin jig set up for. But we can do any side we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of, if we're careful, we can sand off these little lumps and get the edges nice and straight and even. So we're going to sand each side of these, but we're going to do it so that they're even. We're going to stack them together. So I'm going to slowly grab these, stack them all on top of each other, and really make sure that they're lined up pretty well. So when I have them and they're lined up, I'm going to put them down against the table, double check that they're all pretty well lined up, and now I'm going to finger clamp them so they stay lined up together, and I'm going to go flat. Hey, look, now this is important. We don't want to put pressure and do it like this where we're only hitting one side or the other. We want to put pressure evenly against the sandpaper. Okay, not like this, where it's tilted in one direction or the other because it'll sand it off. We want it nice and even. I'm not going too hard, a little bit of pressure. Oops. Kind of turned it to the side there a bit, didn't I? Okay, so I got that side done, and it's kind of removed some of those little pieces that were on the fins. Now I'm going to switch to the other side, make sure they're straightened out still. Yep. And I'm going to do this side. Probably about 3 passes, maybe a little less. You know, doesn't need it. All it needs to do is just to get rid of kind of some of those little nubs or flatten them down significantly. That feels nice and smooth. Let's go on. I've done this side. Ooh, you know what? I think I want to do that first side a little bit more now that I've... That's the way hobbies work. You got to kind of pay attention to it. There we go. So now I'm going to do this other side that I haven't done because there's 4 sides to the fins. And I'm not pushing with all my strength. This is just cardstock, and it's going to sand fairly easily, so we don't need to push too much. Got one more side that needs doing. I need to straighten my fins out again. And again, I'm pushing evenly down to make them flat. We want the edges of the fin to just get sanded flat. Okay. And there we have it. Now we have 5 fins. And with these 5 fins, we should be able to attach them to the rocket in the next step that we do. So, all right, that's all we have for today. And next video, we're going to actually use the 3D printed fin jig and attach these and glue them to our body tube. Okay, we'll see you guys in just a little bit for the next video.